gentlemen, welcome to the John Moore Show. Coming to you live from the heart of Missouri Ozarks. I am Tim Spencer, sitting in for John Moore today while he's on the road. Okay, folks, we will have in the second hour Professor James McCanney, who I personally really enjoy talking with, and you'll have the opportunity to call in and talk with him. First hour is going to be open lines, and you're welcome to go ahead and start calling in now, 800-313-9443, 800-313-9443. We'll talk about anything you want to. I don't know about anybody else, but I've been sort of following these fires out in California. These things are getting really, really bad. Says gust expected to fuel wine country fires today. Wow. That's all they need. I know when these fires first started, they had winds of 55 miles an hour. And, you know, it's killed a lot of people. I saw one news report saying over 200 missing. I think it said Sonoma County. I could be wrong. Boy, that's a lot of people, folks. All I can say is keep them in your thoughts and prayers. All right, let's see what else is going on. Oh, they apparently have done an autopsy on the Las Vegas gunman. They've just declared that his brain had no abnormalities that could have driven him to kill 58 innocent people. I know his brother, on the day after it happened, was saying he hoped he had a brain tumor or something. Now, I guess that one's out. I think the bottom line is this guy is just a go. The controversy around this shooter is going to keep going for a long time. It is my personal opinion, based on videos I watched as they were being uploaded the night this happened, which was 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, my time. I really believe there was a second shooter. That's my personal opinion. Nobody else's, not John's or anybody. Just my personal opinion. Anyway, if you folks want to talk about this, give me a call, 800-313-9443, 800-313-9443. Well, woke up this morning to a rather cool or semi-chilly morning here in the Ozarks, 46 degrees, cloudy, but it's supposed to clear up today with a high of only 65. What more could somebody ask for? Sunny and 65. I'm going to enjoy this afternoon, folks. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm going to do something, even if it's wrong. Okay, let's see. What else do we have going on here? Well, the NFL thing continues to be what it is. What can I say? It looks like the president's won another one on this, so I'm not calling it really at all. I just happened to read an article or come across a headline that said the NFL is going to make the players stand. Well, good for the NFL. It's about time where they finally found the backbone. Okay. Well, I guess everybody's already heard what that Mr. O'Keefe did with the hidden videos at the New York Times. Got apparently some of the very senior people to admit that they all had political agendas, got them on tape saying it. So what we've all suspected and we were convinced of, that the New York Times was just a rag putting out fake news, has been absolutely confirmed. So I say good on Mr. O'Keefe for getting that out. Okay. Oh, here's one. I read this yesterday. Dubai police patrol streets from 16 feet above ground on hover bikes. This is on Drudge, left-hand side, about 2/3 of the way down. Folks, to me, this technology is cool. They can run up to, I think it was 25 miles an hour, if I remember correctly, 16 feet above the ground. And, of course, battery charge doesn't last that long, 25 minutes. Still, that's got to be fun. No bumps or anything, just going around. I guess the only thing you got to watch out for is traffic lights and, dusted on lights alongside the road or something, maybe the occasional billboard. It's kind of fun to play with, though, I think. Okay, like I said, folks, calling numbers 800-313-9443, 800-313-9443. Okay, we've got Randy in Indiana on line 1. Good morning, Randy.
Hey, good morning. How you doing?
I am doing good, sir. How about yourself?
Oh, not too bad. Just heading off to Chicago to work. I just wanted to confirm your suspicion about a second gunman. One of my cousins was actually at the Aldine concert and was one of the guys that actually was injured. And where he got hit, the bullet came from ground level, and it didn't come from the way where Mandalay Bay was.
Right.
So
was
where
he
was
around that
shot,
Gate 7?
Huh?
Was he around what
He
they're
didn't tell
calling
me.
Gate 7? Okay.
He didn't tell me exactly where he was at, but the way he got shot was right underneath his armpit, and the trajectory of the bullet went straight in, straight out. So there's no way it was from the 33rd floor. Otherwise, how did
it wouldn't
get
have
shot
been a
under his
ricochet
armpit?
either.
Yeah,
It's
there's
very
no
doubtful
way.
it would be a ricochet.
So
Wow.
I mean,
Is he
not
doing
only was
okay?
there, yeah, actually, he's doing really well. He's back home now, and the crazy
Good.
thing is you can see gunfire coming from the 12th floor. I've seen so many videos where you could see muzzle flash from the 12th floor, and you're not seeing much from the 33rd. And now my cousin showing that he got shot. I mean, it was straight through him from ground level. So where'd that come from?
Exactly.
It's just insanity. They
the
set
thing
this
that got
guy
it
up,
for me-
is what they did.
Yeah. I'd say you're probably, in fact, I know you're right. In my gut, I know you're right. I just can't prove it. The thing that got
He used
me
to work
was
for
hearing-
Lockheed Martin. Maybe he knew something he wasn't supposed to, or I don't know. I just don't understand it.
I don't either. The guy was financially independent. He wasn't like he had tons of gambling debt or anything.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well off.
Mandalay Bay. Say again.
Yeah. Crazy. But yeah, I just wanted to, kind of confirm that with you because, my cousin was telling me straight up. He's like, I wasn't shot from the 33rd floor. It came underneath my armpit.
Right. Well,
Oh,
I mean,
that,
that right there makes a big difference. I'm
Yeah,
sure
it
that people can come up with an excuse, but, of how that happened. But, that to me is what I could put in the category of smoking gun evidence, especially on a through and through. And if it was a nice, neat hole, it means that the round did not hit something else first.
Exactly. In and out.
Right. Right. So there's something weird going on, and we may never know the truth, Randy. Honestly,
No.
we may not.
No, they're pretty good at hiding the truth from us, but, we all work together and just keep on it.
Well,
Just
I
let
agree.
them know that we are listening and we are watching and we all have eyes.
Well, I think they're well aware of that right now. This shooting
Yeah, they
has
sure are.
attracted so much attention. The thing that got it for me, Randy, was when I was watching those videos as they were being uploaded, is hearing gunfire on top of gunfire, which happened a couple of times in one of those videos I was watching. And,
Exactly.
unless the guy was
This guy
sitting up there on
did
the
not look like he
32nd
was in
floor.
very good shape.
No. Well, even in 223, now I've never shot one on full automatic. Oh, excuse me, I apologize. But my son has, and he tells me that, even something as small as an M4 on full auto will wear you out after a while. And
Oh, yeah, it does.
he's,
It does.
Yeah, he's very physically fit, in the Army, active duty, combat tours and all that. Of course, his opinion, same as mine, when it comes to full auto, why waste the rounds?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's definitely not easy. And for a guy, 60-something years old, not in the greatest shape, to fire off that
64.
many rounds. Yeah, 64 years old, and to fire off that many rounds in that quick of a period, it just doesn't seem feasible.
right. Well, it doesn't to me either. But there's no smoking gun proof yet. I think there will be.
Not yet.
Now, Adams there, the health ranger guy, he came out with a couple of videos showing the what he calls the scientific breakdown. I haven't of the audio portions of the videos, and
aren't they doing forensics on that now?
Yeah, apparently so. And I have not watched the video yet. I have not had time, but I'm going to make time today. But apparently he's got quite a good article. I'd actually
like to see that.
Yeah, I believe there's a link to it on the Republic Broadcasting website, republicbroadcasting.org. If I remember correctly.
Well, yeah, I'll have to check that out when I get off work today. Hey, I love what you guys do, man. You and Mike and John and all you guys. You guys just keep up the good fight.
Well, thank you, Randy. That is very appreciated, sir.
And I've been spreading the word, too. I love the idea that you guys got a Facebook coming up, even though I'm not much of a Facebook guy. I like that idea because that's gonna be a lot easier for me to get that word out and spread it to all my friends and get them listening and open their eyes.
Right.
A lot of them, they're living in a real life wonderland. They just don't believe it.
That is true.
So keep it up. We'll get through to them all eventually.
All right, buddy. Thank you very much. Really appreciate you calling in.
Thank you. Always glad to try and put a little insight on something. One man's word, you can get it spread out there. It can mean a lot.
Yes, sir.
Have a great day.
Tell your friends to listen to my show too on Saturdays, the Rural Survival Show.
Guerrilla Survival Show?
Yeah.
What time is it on?
10 to 12 Central, 10 a.m. to noon Central. Yeah, my wife and I do that one together. We have a blast.
Okay, I will make sure I do that.
All right, thank you, sir.
You have a great day.
All right. You too.
Bye.
All right, folks. Call-in number is 800-313-9443. 800-313-9443. We'll talk about anything you want. Yeah, what Randy was saying is I'm beginning to think that most people are leaning towards the idea of a second or third shooter. From, I don't know, I haven't seen it myself, but apparently there's some compelling evidence on the ground, not just videos, physical evidence. Okay, we're going to go to Dan in Missouri on line 2. Good morning, Dan.
Hey, good morning, Tim. How you doing, buddy?
I
hope you're healing up decent.
Yeah, I am. I still have lots of phantom pains. Keep reaching for a foot that isn't there to rub it or scratch it. And but I've had the doggone thing for 55 years, and now they took it away from me.
I hear you. Hey, listen, could we back up just a minute for a prepper tip of the day?
Oh, absolutely.
Well, I've got one that's it's not my pet peeve, but I see it all the time. You more than likely carry a pocket knife. Most men in the Ozarks do, at least, right?
Yeah.
And knowing what I know about you, and that's from meeting you a couple of times and listening to you, I imagine it's pretty darn sharp.
Yes, it is. I've got in fact, I'm looking at it right now. I've got a whetstone sitting here on my desk. And
that's my boy. Okay, here's the point. If you go to most men, unfortunately, a lot of them don't carry a pocket knife, and those that do, you could ride to town on it, as Grandpa would say. They're not sharp. They use their pocket knife
probably right.
Oh, it's pitiful. And a dull knife, the reason, I don't know if, I'm sure most of your listeners have heard this, the reason a dull knife is more dangerous, and it is, than a sharp knife, is because you have to apply so much pressure to it that you lose control of it.
Right.
And you're pushing so hard.
Yourself.
Yeah. So, my prepper tip for the day is learn how to sharpen everything.
Right.
Dull tools are horrible. And And if you've ever
whether you're talking
used
about chainsaws or pocket knives, yes.
Everything. And here's the thing about that. I've got two things I want to run through. I want to run through this the sharpen everything deal.
Buddy.
You got time?
Oh yeah, we're going to go to a break here in a couple of minutes, but you can hang on through it if you don't mind, Dan.
Great. And then I've got a question for you after that about your experience in the military. That I had the same experience, I'm almost guaranteed. Okay, going through this sharpen everything. First of all, if things get bad, and even if things don't get bad, we need to still have these files. There's certain things that you don't have to have a power grinder to sharpen a hoe or an axe, and shovels occasionally need sharpened.
Yep.
They work a lot better if they're sharpened, I'll put it that way. And hand saws.
Oh, yeah.
If people have got hand saws out there, I mean, back in 1955, my dad had a new house built south of St. Louis, and the carpenters that built that house used hand saws. Every board was cut with a handsaw. Plywood was cut with a handsaw. And there's cross-cut, and there's rip saws, and they're sharpened differently. And they used files. They didn't use grinders.
Well,
so
we do everything with sharpening by hand here, except for brush hog blades. Those we do on the machine first, or with an angle grinder, and then we really don't sharpen them any more than that, because you don't want a super sharp brush hog blade. You want to shatter what you're going over.
Yeah, right. You want it to shatter what you're cutting so it won't sprout again. But yeah, you're right. Without these tools, to keep your tools in shape, you've got a bunch of junk laying there. I mean, a dull axe, what's that for? Killing snakes maybe, but turn it over and use the blunt end,
Right. Well, a dull
Okay, well wait, we got to break down.
All right. So we'll be back in 3 minutes. 800-313-9443.
Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. It's taken 3 years before I could offer the inter-shelter domes for sale. During those 3 years, several different governments and militaries were taking all their production. The inter-shelter dome homes may be just what you've been looking for to provide affordable, energy-efficient, permanent, and attractive housing. These dome homes are prefabricated units that can be assembled in a few hours by 2 men with a ladder and simple hand tools. Check out the photos of these dome homes built in the Arctic, on tropical beaches, in suburban areas, and in forests. All the details, many photographs, and the pricing of the dome homes are listed on the left-hand side of my homepage at thelibertyman.com. I think you'll find these homes are not only attractive, but they're energy efficient, and a bonus. You can disassemble them and reassemble them as many times as you feel you need to. Pretty great, huh? Something that's very, very unique. Check them out at my website at thelibertyman.com. Thank you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the John Moore Show. Today is Wednesday, 11 October, year of our Lord 2017, and we're visiting with Dan in Missouri on line 2 right now. Okay, Dan, you're back on the air, buddy.
All right, great, Tim. Thank you, sir. A tip about the sharpening stones for knives and chisels and hand plane blades, which you would need to have if you're going to keep those in good condition. There are sharpening stones out there that use water for a lubricant. And a lot of people, I've seen a lot of stones that are so loaded up with filings that they don't cut anymore because the people didn't know they even needed a lubricant. The old ones seem to use oil all the time, which works, but it's a little messy. A lot of the newer ones, you can use water. And with the industrial diamond plates, they are so fast, and you can even use them dry. They won't load up. And if you're really worried about about it, wash it off when you're done with water, and they won't rust.
Which is what I do.
Yeah, it works great. And back to files. There's so many different kinds of files out there that you would need. If you use your files and you put them in a drawer somewhere, and in a month or two you pull them out, if they've got any rust on them, you have just ruined your file. That rust will attack that. That rust will attack that fine edge, and as soon as that cutting edge is gone, that file's just scrap metal. You could make a knife out of it someday.
Yeah,
so really, we need to
chainsaw files. So I understand exactly what you're saying. They rust up; they're worthless.
Well, once they get just the slightest rust on them, it attacks that cutting edge, and then you've got nothing.
You're right.
You can oil that file down, and when you're done with it, oil it down with bar oil would be fine. It's sticky, but it works. I mean, used motor oil would even work. And then wrap it up in an oily rag and stow it. But if you stow it after you've handled it with your sweaty hands and so forth, or even if it didn't get sweaty, that file will rust if it doesn't have a protective coating of oil on it.
Well, you're right. And I'll tell you something else it does is just plain and simple condensation. You know, here in Missouri, we might be at 70 degrees 1 hour and the next hour down to 40 or vice versa. And
absolutely.
That temperature change causes condensation. And
if you don't keep your toolbox in a climate-controlled area, like if you keep your toolbox in the back of a pickup truck or out in an unheated shed,
right,
that toolbox can end up just a box of rust.
Easily and quickly.
Yeah.
You know.
And there's other parts of the country that are much worse. Down south.
Oh, yeah.
Pacific Northwest, where they get a lot more rain. Yeah. So, learn how to sharpen everything. Dull tools are pretty much useless.
Right. You know, I actually enjoy sharpening stuff, Dan, personally.
Oh, yeah.
The kids, when the chainsaws need sharpening, they bring them to me. Knives, of course, my wife brings them to me to sharpen. You know, and I've even got particular kinds of steel I like working with better than others. You know, I like the hollow ground steel, and I really dislike the stainless steel knives. You know, that's his personal preference. But I actually enjoy sharpening.
I'll tell you, when people figure out that you know how to sharpen things and you can do a good job of it, that's a real tradable skill.
Yeah, I think it would be. You know, I'm assuming that if and when things go south, which I sincerely hope they don't, but I think they will. Yeah, that is one of the skills I've got that I can use, definitely.
Yep.
You know.
Okay, something else I wanted to run by you and see what your thoughts are. I know you spent some time in the military. I spent 2 extremely long years in there. I was not impressed. But what I saw just blew me away, and I didn't even know it existed until I saw it. And I don't know that there's a name for it. You just have to say the sentence. I call it budget, spend it, or lose it.
Yes, sir, I'm quite familiar with that.
That I could not conceive of human beings doing that. You know, in all common sense, there is no common sense about that. It's absolutely asinine. And
you're correct.
It's pathetic. Hey, I'm almost done. If you can let me run through the rest of this real quick.
Absolutely, yeah. Hang on through the break, Dan. Folks, we'll be back in 4 minutes. 800-313-9443.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. I've worked with men and women involved in the high-end shelters for years. With the Ozark Survival Homestead, you get things you don't get with the high-end shelters. You get a opportunity to be in the bunker, of course. You also get a home, a 60 by 90 lot. You get your storable food, your livestock, share, your garden, greenhouse share, your seed bank share. One person to have everything they need, right at $25,000. For a family of three, $37,000. You really need to check this out. It's very unique. At my website, you'll see the Ozark Survival Homesteads on the left side of my homepage. Go there, read that one page, fill out the form with your name, your email address, and your telephone number, and I will forward that to the guys and gals at the Ozark Survival Homesteads. Check it out. You'll be very glad you did. Thank you very much.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the John Moore Show. This is Tim Spencer sitting in for John today, Wednesday, 11th day of October in the year of our Lord, 2017. And right now we're visiting with Dan right here in Missouri on line 2. Okay, Dan, we got plenty of time, buddy. Let's go ahead and talk about what else you wanted to go over.
Well, I ended up being stationed here in Missouri after I was drafted during the Vietnam era. And
yes, sir.
I was one of the older guys there at the office where I was sitting, and I ended up being the driver. And one day, shortly after I got there, the first sergeant came to me and he says, "We're going to the self-help store." And I had no idea what that was. It's kind of like Walmart for the military. Everything in there from Kleenex to tank tracks almost. I mean, that was a warehouse loaded with stuff. And I was pushing one cart and pulling another one, and he was throwing things in those carts, and he says, "What do you need?" And I said, "Man, I was an illustrator there." I said, "My cabinets got doubles and triples and quadruples of everything you could imagine. Templates and Leroy lettering sets and charts. I mean, I had it all. It was just, I couldn't ask for more equipment." And he said, "No, what do you need?" I said, "Me, personally?" And he kind of shushed me. He says, "Yeah, what do you need?" And there were jacks, hydraulic jacks, tool kits. There was every kind of piece of tool, hand tool you could imagine in there. And I said, "You mean for me to take home?" And he went, "Yeah." And I said, "I live off post. I got to go through the gate. Besides, that's stealing." And he said, "Do you want it or not?" And I said, "I think I'll pass. I don't want to end up in jail." Right. And he said, "Listen, everybody's doing it this time of year. We got to get rid of our budget. We got to spend it all, and it's nothing new. Just don't worry about it." And I said, "No, I'll pass." And I sincerely did. I know people are thinking, "Yeah, sure, you passed on it." Well, I did. And
I understand.
Oh, so that's bothered me ever since. And then I got transferred down to Texas to a great big fancy academy they had going down there, and they did the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, "You're screwing all these taxpayers out here, all this money." And they said, "Well, we can't change it. Come on, just roll with it." I said, "No, thanks." So anyway, here about a year ago, I live in a university or near a university town, and they teach business administration there. Right. So I thought, man, I'll go ask the big boys. So I had an appointment with a PhD one afternoon. He was at or near the head of this department. And I asked him, I said, "Is there somebody out there in some college somewhere that teaches?" And I apologized. I said, "I've never had a finance class." I said, "Is there somebody that teaches?" And again, I apologize. I said, "I don't even know what to call this." And at the time, I said, "I call it budget, spend it, or lose it." And he started smiling. And I said, "Does anybody advocate that or teach that to these graduates? I mean, there's master's degree, PhD degrees that are being educated on how to run businesses, and I guess government positions, I don't know." I said, "Does anybody teach this?" And he shook his head and he said, "No." I said, "Well, why is it like that when we get out there, or when they get out into the government and the military? Why do they run their businesses like that?" I said, "I know they do." And he says, "Yeah, I know they do too." And I said, "Do you have any idea why?" He shook his head and he goes, "No, it's just been that way a long time." And he said, you're not going to change it. And I'm thinking, my God, what a waste of taxpayers' dollars.
Yeah, it is. It is. You know, when I was in the military, Dan, they had started to clean that up quite a bit. It still went on, like you're talking about, you know, stuff for yourself and all that. They really did start cleaning that up, at least in the Navy they did. In fact, for a few years, that was the big thing, was throwing people out of the Navy for part of my job for stealing stuff like that. They got usually caught at the gate. But the way they got around that, the Navy has a form called a property pass. And if it's something that the Navy was genuinely throwing away, that they had no use for, if you wanted it, you could ask for it, and the supply officer would write what's called a property pass, and that meant it was yours, completely legal.
Even if there wasn't anything wrong with it, you just got to take it home.
Correct.
Yeah. Well, from what I saw, yeah. From what I saw, 10 to maybe 30% of their yearly budget is unnecessarily spent right at the last quarter of the year. I mean, they could justify what they bought, but they didn't really need it. And I'm sure all the vendors that are providing stuff, just that last quarter of the year is probably just a bonus for them, because they know all these departments are going to go out and spend the rest of their budget on stuff. So I guess that helps our economy a little bit, or those businesses, but it sure screws the taxpayers. It's not the way to spend our money.
Well, I'll tell you, Dan, the way it was explained to me was on the spend it or lose it thing is if you say are responsible for a certain type of budget, OCTAR or whatever, that if you don't spend the money, the people that control the purse strings figure you don't need that much next year since you didn't spend it this year. And,
hence the name, budget, spend it or lose it.
Right.
Yeah, you're right.
That's
just
the way it was explained
ridiculous.
to me. It is. Oh, the waste in the military, even when I was in, the waste was incredible. And they even had special programs. I remember one was they would offer actually monetary rewards for reporting waste, fraud, and abuse. And abuse of the system is the type of abuse they were talking of. And they would actually offer monetary rewards. In other words, if you saved the Navy $1 million and it went through all the proper channels, then guess what? You got 10% of that.
That's a pretty good chunk.
I saw a couple of people take advantage of that. I was never lucky enough to find something like that. I got a check one time because I figured out a better way to do something than the way the Navy was doing it and put it on paper. But
you know, you'd think that just a simple memo could stop it. Just send a memo to all department heads that says, by the way, this year there will be no penalty next year if you don't spend all of your budget. It'll roll over into an account with your department's name on it, or just leave it set there. I mean, that'd be better than wasting it. And
I agree.
And next year, if the old man, that seems like that's what they always call the boss, if the old man comes up with a project that nobody really expected, you might have enough funds there to be able to take care of the project, whatever it is, you know. But just a simple memo.
There's one problem with your idea. It's logical. And the military isn't going to use anything that's logical, buddy.
Well, and the other reason I think that maybe it's happening, if they change it to a better system, it's like admitting that we've been doing it wrong for all these past years, and then that pride thing gets involved, and they might have to answer questions on, well, why didn't you do this 10 years ago or 20 years ago? Or it's just absurd the way they spend our money and then waste it at the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And I've gone to I would encourage your listeners to knock on the door of your local representatives, write a letter, make a phone call, and just demand that we stop budget, spend it or lose it. If we could bury those guys in phone calls, postcards, show up on their doorstep if you're close enough, and just demand that the government quits doing that. It's not just military. It's federal, state, and local levels. They still use that system. And they just shrug their shoulders and go, well, you know, been that way a long time.
Yeah.
That's a bad answer.
There's no bad answer.
And I know that's not the biggest problems we've got, but it's such a simple one to fix.
Right. I agree.
Just say, you won't be penalized next year. It'd just be that simple to fix it. All right, I've whined enough. I appreciate you, Tim.
Oh, you're good. All right, Dan. Really appreciate your call, buddy.
Thank you, buddy. Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay, folks. Call-in number is 800-313-9443, 800-313-9443. We'll talk about anything you want to. Let's see. We don't have any callers waiting, so I'll take care of a couple of housekeeping items. When you have a chance, go to thelibertyman.com, thelibertyman.com. That's John Moore's website. Tons of neat stuff there. He sells a few products. I think you'll really like the site if you've never been there before. Just take a look at it. Tons of good information. I'd also invite you to visit my website, my wife's website, ruralsurvival.info, ruralsurvival.info. More of a reference site than an entertainment site. Hundreds of articles on how to do things easier. Hundreds of free downloads that can help you in your everyday life. We don't really have much for sale. We have Jim McCanney's water filters, and Jim McCanney's going to be on the second hour with us. If you have any questions about the water filters, call in and ask him. We also have flash drives for sale that have over 1,570 documents on them, and something very lightweight to carry with you that you can plug into your tablet or your laptop or your desktop and have access to, like I said, well over 1,500 documents, everything from how-to generator repair instruction manuals to canning tomatoes. I mean, you name it, it's on that flash drive. I'm going to take a look at that. They're $59.95 shipping in the U.S., or shipping included in the U.S. A little bit more expensive for outside of the U.S. I think it's $77, but when I have to pay $25 to ship it from here to Australia, I think you understand the price difference. But anyway, folks, take a look at those two places, and I think you'll be very glad you did. Okay, we've got about 15 minutes left of the show. Call-in number is 800, or not of the show, of this hour. I apologize, of this hour. Give us a call, 800-313-9443, 1-800-313-9443. Just saw a little article here on Zero Hedge. I haven't opened it up, but just the headlines. Stock market has increased by $5.2 trillion since Donald Trump was elected on November 8th, which is a 25% increase. We've got the lowest unemployment in 16 years. And Trump says, if Congress gives us the massive tax cuts and reforms I'm asking for, those numbers will grow by leaps and bounds. I find that statement very interesting. In my mind, the stock market's not backed by anything right now. I'm just not sure. I guess this is one of those wait-and-see things. Right now, we're going to Fred in Wisconsin on line 1. Good morning, Fred.
Good morning.
How are you doing today, sir?
Very good.
You're on the air.
Okay, I just have a question. I assume you live within a shouting distance of Mr. Moore in Missouri. Is that correct?
It's about a 45-minute drive from my driveway to his, sir.
From a logistics standpoint, what are your winters like?
It depends on the year, actually. We'll go some years and only have 2 snowfalls that are 2 or 3 inches deep. And yet I remember there's been a few winters when we were actually walking waist deep in snow. So it depends on the year. Our biggest pain in the butt is ice storms, and we don't have them every year. I'd say once every 4 or 5 years we'll have an ice storm. almost guaranteed you lose electric. Not every time, but almost every time. The worst time I've ever seen it has been 4 weeks that everything was paralyzed. Just couldn't do anything. There was 2 inches of ice on the ground.
Okay.
And, that was
what would you
mess.
say? What would you say the average temperature is in January?
Oh boy, wow! That I hadn't even thought about that one.
Well, here's where I'm going with this. I'm up in the cold Wisconsin, and I'm trying to think of a place I could spend some time in the winter. And I've been told about Branson, Missouri, having a lot of RV parks and stuff. And I'm just curious to see if it's possible to live in an RV down there in January.
Oh, sure. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that would be no problem.
I mean, they're going to provide you with electricity. It just gets iffy. Campgrounds in Wisconsin, they shut the water off in October, and that's it. So, if you're going to live in something, you got to be able to flush the toilet. So that's why I'm just curious about what the temperatures are like down there.
I worked at a campground that was attached to the county fairgrounds here for 7 years, and we never shut off the water during the winter. Oh,
that's good. That's a good sign. And how close would that be to Branson?
About 2.5 hours driving, I would say. I don't know in miles.
Is Branson south of what you're talking about?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So the further south, hopefully, the warmer it gets. Well, you've been very, very helpful, and I appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
Not a problem, Fred. Call back anytime. Thank you, sir. All right, folks. We'll probably have time for one more caller after the break. Call-in number 1-800-313-9443, 1-800-313-9443. Real quick, what we were talking about before the last caller, stock market increased by $5.2 trillion. From everything I read, folks, that's only based on, a hope, a prayer, exuberance that's undue. In other words, there's nothing backing up this tremendous increase that I can find. But it's getting interesting. Let's hope it doesn't all collapse and reset and, find its average where it really should be based on the value of the companies that the stocks are listed in. So it could be interesting. Okay, folks, we should be going to break here in just a second. Looking at the current headlines, Trump wants to weaken NAFTA's influence and power. Good on him. Spain warns Catalonia with threat of direct control from Madrid. That can get interesting. Okay, folks. This is our final break for this hour. We'll be back in 3 minutes. 800-313-9443. Okay, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We are back. I am Tim Spencer, sitting in for John Moore today on the John Moore Show. And today is Wednesday, the 11th day of October in the year of our Lord, 2017. Coming up here in just a few minutes, we hope you'll hang on. We're going to have Professor James McCanney on. And it's always interesting when he's on the air. Okay, let's see what else is going on. It says here, Spanish government begins process to suspend Catalan autonomy. Like I said before the break, this could get interesting, folks, based on what happened on October 1st with the federal police basically beating up old people. I don't know how else to put it, trying to keep them from voting. I'm not saying who's right or wrong. I'm certainly not going to take sides. but there's apparently a lot on both sides to have some kind of valid points. Okay, North Korea, or say North Carolina,
Tim.
North Korea. Yeah.
Tim.
Go ahead.
Forward.
Hello,
Tim. How you doing? I
okay.
just thought we were just having some kind of a conversation there. Hey, you know what? I hate to interrupt you while you're in the middle of everything. I just wanted to make one brief comment about Branson.
Yeah.
Well, as you know, I'm a wood repair artist, which is exactly what I'm doing right this moment. But we used to have to go down on the bank holidays, Columbus Day, which was like Monday, and again President's Day, and we used to have to do the banks of Branson, several of them. And my wife is not a big fan of the place, but I love Branson. When we would go down there in January or February, the weather was always far more pleasant than it was up here in the St. Louis region. Frequently there'd be robins, and it would be like spring there. And there is so much to do. There's so much cool stuff. Lots and lots and lots of little inexpensive shows, and the entertainment is off the chart. I mean, these are people who never really made it the big time, but probably should have. And I've been to Roger Miller cover shows and James Taylor cover shows and John Denver cover shows and rock and roll shows, magic shows. My God, just Yakov Smirnoff, comedy, Rich Little. There is just a never. I even went to a Lawrence Welk World War II music cover show where they were doing things like, you know, Boogie Woogie, Bugle Boy, and all that stuff from the 40s.
I bet that was fun.
That was an absolute blast. And my wife's not a big fan, but I love music and I love all that kind of thing. And I could live there. I think the place is just marvelous. And it is a relatively mild climate down there. It's in the very, very southwestern corner of the state, just right on getting real close to Arkansas. And it is a wonderful place. I can't say enough about it.
Yeah, I let me see. I believe it was Fred in Wisconsin was asking about it. It is beautiful. There's no question about that. And a lot of fun.
I would go. All right, I'll see you later.
All right, have a good one, Rick. Thank you.
You too. Bye. Okay, bye.
Bye. Okay, folks, coming up on top of the hour break here in just a minute. We're going to have James McCanny on, from what I understand, second hour, which is always fun. I really enjoy listening to him. I hope you do, too. Let's see. I think I already mentioned... I'm hearing music, I do believe. Yes, I am hearing music. Okay. Anyway, folks, we'll be back in about 2.5, 3 minutes. With Professor James McCanny. Hope you hang on. Ladies and gentlemen, I just made the classic mistake. I started talking and the mute button was on. I do apologize. I do that, seems like, even on my own show about once a month. Anyway, today is Wednesday, 11 October, year of our Lord 2017. I am Tim Spencer, sitting in for John on the John Moore Show today. Coming up in just a moment, we'll have Professor McCanny on. And this is going to be very interesting, as it always is, when he's our guest. In fact, Dan, if you have him, I'm ready for him. Just talking to my engineer, folks. Okay. Anyway, one of the things I was going to mention right before we went to the break, or had a call one, I don't remember which, headline here, North Korea preparing to fire multiple short-range missiles next week. I think the past two times that South Korean intelligence and our intelligence agencies said North Korea was going to do something, they haven't done it. You remember yesterday they were supposed to fire an ICBM. Well, that didn't happen. So I don't know how much stock I'd put in that. But we'll just have to wait and see what happens. NATO launches new Black Sea force to target Russia. As we are sending a very clear message, NATO is here, NATO is strong, and NATO is united. Well, they may well be. But one of these days, that bear is going to get tired of being poked at with a big stick. He's going to do something about it. I wish they'd back off. That's just my own personal opinion. Anyway, let's see. Oh, this was kind of funny. Austria's burqa ban leads to arrest of men dressed as shark. Some kind of an advertising costume, guy standing out in front of his, or in front of his place of employment, I guess, in a shark outfit that completely covered his body. They arrested him for breaking the burqa law, which prohibits people from wearing a burqa. This goes to show cops are dumb everywhere in general. Oh, well, I didn't say that. Okay, what else we got? Oh, this is one I didn't know about. U.S. destroyer carries out Trump's fourth freedom of navigation operation in South China Sea. It says in a provocation that's sure to raise eyebrows in Beijing, the U.S. Navy destroyer on Tuesday sailed within 12 miles of Parcel Islands in the South China Sea in what appears to be the first U.S. freedom of navigation operation in a few months. Well, what can I say, folks? I honestly believe that is a necessary evil to conduct. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have my friend Jim McCanney on the line. Good morning, Jim.
Tim, how are you? Do you hear me okay?
Yes, sir. I read you, Lima Charlie. You're sound great.
Good.
Oh, how's the world treating you today, buddy?
Well, good. Still breathing. Haven't missed any meals lately, and actually got a place to work out of now. I don't know if you knew, Tim, I was in the Florida evacuation, and it took a while to recover. I was here and there, but now I've gotten a place that actually I can work out of for a period of time, so I'm getting back to normal, whatever normal is.
Cool. That is great. That is absolutely great. So anything on your mind in particular today, Jim, or are we just going to go in general wherever directions? What do we want to do this morning?
Well, if wherever do you have a topic you want to start with? Otherwise... Well,
you know me. My favorite topic with you is those water filters.
Oh.
I'm so sold on those.
Yes.
That's my favorite topic.
Just a brief update. We were retooling the stainless steel containers for the kitchen standard. That's the bigger countertop stainless steel. And the Traveler, which we had out of stock for actually maybe a year and a half, and we're not able to get. But we now have the Traveler. That's the 2/3 size stainless steel in stock, and we're shipping those. So that's very, very good news. And also the my GF filters that take everything out all in one filter element and made in the United States. So those are some of the highlights of the filters. And then the other thing, Tim, we talked before about the big commercial filters. People are buying these for their houses, and that's really wonderful to see because it's a wonderful product. It's a 3-stage filter, and they're basically commercial grade. They could be used in a commercial greenhouse situation or on a horse farm, or they could be used in a ranch or a farm setting where they need clean water for chickens or animals, etc.
Right.
And using tap or well water. A lot of well water is not good. It has arsenic and other naturally occurring pollutants. So these filters take everything all out in one stage, and the people are using these also for whole house In other words, let's say, for example, you're taking a shower with city water. It's got fluoride, it's got chlorine, it's got chloramines, it's got glyphosates maybe, or even if you live in the country, you might have heavy glyphosates. Well, this takes all those out. And what happens in the shower is that water steams and all of this turns into vapor, so you're breathing it for 5 minutes, however long it takes you to take a shower, and it's on your skin, hot water on your skin, and your skin is the biggest absorber organ in your body. So it's going through your skin, you're breathing it in every day. It's assuming you bathe or shower every day, or every other day, whatever. It's bad for you. Right. This is why cancer has taken over as the number one killer of Americans over heart disease. People are dying before their body gives out from cancer because this is why.
Yeah.
So anyway.
I'm
anyway.
sold on those whole house filters, and I am actively saving up for one.
They're on sale. They're a 10% discount, and the thing I'm offering is that when you buy the filter, you get the replacement filter packs for greatly reduced price. And so that's something, that's something people have been taking advantage of. I had one guy bought the MR9, which is the bigger filter, plus 4 replacement filter packs. In total, he saved thousands of dollars on this whole package. But that's the kind of thing that's going on. So people are very aware of this. And when you look over, say you have a house, you have a $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 house. And the most important thing in that house is water. And, people are being poisoned by the water in the house. That's something that everybody uses every day in showering, in laundry. And we can even calculate out how much people will save in clothing costs because the chlorine that's in the water destroys your clothes. So you get that out before you wash your clothes. Your clothes last a lot longer, and that chlorine just destroys the clothes. So get that out before you wash your clothes, and so these filters literally pay for themselves, plus the long-term hospital bills that you won't be paying because you're not getting cancer from all the chemicals in the water.
Right, exactly. Well, folks, if you're interested in procuring one of these water filter systems for yourself or for a loved one or a family member, you can either go to John's website, thelibertyman.com, or to my website, ruralsurvival.info, and both sites have links on there that take you directly to Jim's website where these filters are displayed and you can learn all about them.
Right.
So
and
I would encourage you to do this.
Yeah, both John and Tim are affiliates, so that's a system that I set up. It's an automated system so that they get credit when you buy through their web pages. So it's a good system that everybody benefits, including the customer, because they're getting a product they know. For example, when we do testing on our filters that are tested to national certification standard testing standards, we also test for the duration of the life of the filter. So when we tell you a filter is good for a certain number of gallons of water or whatever, we know that because they've been tested. Some people, some companies will test and they'll tell you something, but they've never really tested that in a certified setting. And so the issue is that we test, we know what you're getting, you can buy with confidence. And also, the one thing I always say is made in the USA. I used to have to import my water filter stuff from India and from England, etc. There's a lot of cost in shipping, in customs, in things like that. And so mine are the only ones made in the USA, so I actually sell my products made in the USA for less money than people that have their products made in India or China.
Yes. Well, as a comparison with other companies, Jim, to me it's just amazing the product value and the quality of what you sell compared to what other companies sell at a higher price that really don't do the job. I mean, the comparison really, from what I've learned, is just apples and oranges.
Yeah, well,
so much higher quality.
The other selling point is that we don't require add-on filters. I when I'm on the air or when I'm listening to radio, I hear these water filter commercials all the time. They don't tell you that you need to buy add-on filters just for arsenic and fluoride. And they're very expensive. They're typically about $39 a piece, and they only last for 500 gallons of water. So there's a tremendous added cost just to get fluoride and arsenic out of the water. And they don't, that's all they take out. And I used to sell those a long time ago, but that's why we went to manufacturing here, the quality control, etc. And believe me, when you're having something made in India or China, there's no quality control. Nobody's there watching them, making sure that product is consistent from one lot, one batch to the next. It just doesn't happen. So people, that's a huge issue, that we're manufacturing in our own manufacturing plant in the United States, and we're not paying all of that shipping and customs cost, and we ship direct from the factory. So I could go on and on, but those are the main points.
Yeah. Well, folks, to wrap this little part up, and we'll move on to something else, Jim. Trust me, these filters are incredible. I've got friends that have them. I've seen them in use. I'm saving up for the whole house model myself. Like I said, you can go to thelibertyman.com or ruralsurvival.info, either one, and you click on that link that shows the picture of the water filters and take a look. Check it out for yourself.
Yeah, all the information is there, the spec sheets, etc. for the filters. It's all on that page. So, they are.
That is true. And people can learn everything they want to know about them, pretty much. And anyway, and of course, if you got some kind of question that's not answered, I know that, Jim, isn't there a contact form on that page?
Yes. Yeah, people can, there's an email address there. People can send questions to if you have extra questions, etc. There's a contact email address where you can send and get more information.
Yeah, and I can understand with that kind of an expenditure why people might have a few extra questions.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, Jim, Jim, what else are you looking at in the world today?
Well, yesterday, in fact, John tipped me off on this yesterday when he mentioned you would be doing the show today, that in the Canary Islands there were over 40 earthquakes yesterday.
Yes.
And that might seem like a long ways away, but geologically what happens in the Canary Islands, there are underground or underwater rift regions where in the past big masses of land, of earth have moved underwater and caused massive tsunamis that cross the ocean. They can move across the Atlantic Ocean in as little as 6 hours and would be imposing on the eastern coast of the United States. And in the past, we know from geological record that some of these have gone as far as into Pennsylvania. That's how far they've gotten. And so there's no evacuation plan. There's no knowledge of this. I don't see on the internet, I don't see anyone even raising a red flag about this. So the issue of evacuation, there's no evacuation plan for anything, including we just had Hurricane Nate come through the southern states from the Gulf.
Right.
And no evacuation planning. They just say, we have a state of emergency, everybody leave. Well, they don't know, there's no planning for gasoline or who should leave first or what kind of order this should be done, and it just is a big mess. And here we have a situation where we could have a tsunami that could potentially destroy much of the eastern seaboard of the United States, and nobody's even talking about this, let alone talking about evacuation processes.
Right. Well, I was reading something last night, Jim, about this very subject, and I read so much I can't tell you where I read it at, but the estimate was for the east coast of Florida, it would see a tsunami within 6 to 7 hours after that. So I tell you what, hang on, Jim. Ladies and gentlemen, you got a break. We'll be back in 3 minutes. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is Tim Spencer sitting in for John Moore on The John Moore Show on Wednesday, the 11th day of October, in the year of our Lord, 2017. And, Jim, we have a caller on the line. We've got Joe in Indiana on line 3. Good morning, Joe.
Hey, good morning, Tim, and good morning, Professor McKinney. I'll be really quick. Just wanted to bring up the water filtration systems. For the last 5-6 years, I've been buying them. A number of them. I have, I think it's a 4.5 gallon, 2.5 gallon. Then I've been buying those 1.5 for my kids as they go off to college, and everybody loves them. It does make a big difference. I really, really, really like the new ceramic ones that you have, the big fat ones. I'm just impressed how fast they filter the water. But my question
is, how long?
Yeah. Pardon me?
They're the Imperials, the double wide. They're called the Imperials.
Oh, those are
filter
great.
Elements. Yeah. Go ahead.
One question is, where I live, we're one of the few counties in Indiana that doubled up on the amount of fluoride they're putting in the water. And I'm just wondering, we have a high sedimentation rate too, with a lot of calcium. But I'm just wondering, how long will those filters last, given the fluoride that has to be filtered out? How often should I consider maybe replacing them?
Well, what we say for the standard filter, the standard 7-inch filter, is 1,000 gallons, and that's under average conditions. The Imperials have 4 times the amount of medium in them. They have twice the surface area and 4 times the content, but we say really about 3 times that, or maybe about 3,000 gallons. But if you have twice as much fluoride, that's going to be using up that medium much faster. So potentially with the Imperials, then 1,500 gallons. These are just rough estimates without actually measuring it. But I know these communities that put the fluoride in there. I just went to buy toothpaste in the regular store. I couldn't find anything without fluoride in it. So we order online some toothpaste, but that fluoride is coming at you from all directions. But you do want to get that out of your water. And,
definitely. And I was going to say, my kids, I have 3 now in college. We just sent off number 3. And I was going to order, yeah. I was just going to order another filter for him with those 1.5, because my other 2 kids really love them, and it turns out their roommates use them too, because they can't. After you start drinking this water, they won't drink tap water anymore. And I may have mentioned this before. Our animals, we completely raised our chocolate lab and our cats on your water. And I'm telling you, they will not drink tap water. If the kids try to cheat and put a bowl of tap water in front of them, they just walk away. They won't touch it.
Yeah, I remember some kids came over to the house one time a while back, and we had made, I forget what it was, like water with ice, I believe it was. They knew that the ice had been made with tap water. And so it's just they know. And like you say, the animals, you put regular tap water in front of them and they'll sniff it and they look at you like, what are you trying to feed me? Or the animals know.
And on a funny note, even your drinks taste different because I like drinking scotches, but with maybe a little bit of ice. I ended up buying an ice cube tray and making ice cubes with the filtered water because you could definitely taste the difference if you used the ice cubes from the tap water as opposed to your water, and it actually alters the taste of the scotches. For those out there that are a little bit on the purist side, but just wanted to compliment you on that. And on those big ones, just a note, it's not a complaint or anything. It was my mistake. I was doing some work and I took the filter apart. Well, I took the top off and it rolled off the top of the washing machine when it hit the canal. But with the smaller ones, I've had that happen to me and no damage. But the ceramic, the big fat ones, they break, so they're a little more fragile, I think. But I don't know. It's just something to mention to the engineers and see what they could do. But it was too bad. They were brand new too. So I wiped out 3 of them in one shot.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, no, they're ceramic. They are delicate. When we ship them, we have pretty good luck in getting them to arrive in one piece, given UPS and other carriers that have these machines.
Hey guys, I need you to hang on, okay? 4 minutes.
One last question. Okay.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. I've worked with men and women involved in the high-end shelters for years. With the Ozark Survival Homesteads, you get things you don't get with the high-end shelters. You get a opportunity to be in the bunker, of course. You also get a home, a 60 by 90 lot. You get your storable food, your livestock share, your garden, greenhouse share, your seed bank share. One person to have everything they need, right at $25,000. For a family of 3, $37,000. You really need to check this out. It's very unique. At my website, you'll see the Ozark Survival Homesteads on the left side of my homepage. Go there, read that one page, fill out the form with your name, your email address, and your telephone number, and I will forward that to the guys and gals at the Ozark Survival Homesteads. Check it out. You'll be very glad you did. Thank you very much.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Today is 11 October, 2017, and it is a Wednesday. This is Tim Spencer sitting in for John Moore on the John Moore Show. We are having a conversation with Professor James McCanney and Joe in Indiana. Continue, gentlemen. You're on.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I can't recommend those filters enough. They're wonderful. People, when they come over to visit with us, because what we do is I filter the water by hand, run it through the system. I have 2 big ones set up in the laundry room, and I just fill up those 5-gallon jugs, and I put them in the dispensers. And when people come over, they actually drink more water, and they always comment about the quality of the water. But my last question was, for traveling, I have your plastic travel one, but I saw one time you had a metal one, which was maybe a liter. I couldn't find it because I wanted to buy a couple of those and give one to one of my friends when I head down to Florida next month. But I can't find them, so I'm wondering if you still have them.
Actually, yeah. It's just that trying to keep the number of products under control on the web page. But if you would want to email, I can get you those stainless steel ones. I still have them. It's just here's the issue. It doesn't have a locking cap, and there's no extra containers that go with it. And the container, those are military grade, by the way. Those were made for the military. But the filter takes up too much area of the top container. And so that's why I've got the newer design, the plastic ones. But if you really like those stainless, I can get them for you.
Yes.
And so when are you leaving for your trip?
Oh, not till the beginning of next month. I don't know if I have enough time.
Oh, yeah, no, there's time. Yeah. I tell you what, if you want to go to my webpage, the jmccsci.com, or I'll just give you the email address. It's jmcc@jmcannyscience.com.
Okay, we'll do.
And jmcc@jmcannyscience.com, and just ask me to get you those, and you got plenty of time.
Yeah, I'll make it worth your while, because I'll need 2 of them. I was going to get 2 of them, and then I'm going to be ordering more, and then more of your 1.5 for my younger kid who just took off for college. So, but that's it. I just wanted to mention that, and thank you, Professor. I know your heart and soul is in that, and you could tell by the quality. It's just really great. I just wanted to compliment you on that. But have a great day. Thank you.
Okay. Take care. Yeah. Yeah, and that fluoride is, Tim, that fluoride is an issue everywhere. It's just, it's really bad stuff, and you need to get it out of the water. The issue is, with any other filter brand, universally, you have to buy extra add-on filters to get that out of there. And people, I listen to these ads and they tell you how great their products are, but they don't tell you that you need that extra filter just to get fluoride and arsenic. And arsenic is a big problem in many places in the United States, and nobody talks about it. But those are 2 things you want to get out of there, and mine are the only ones that take it out in the filter element itself. You don't need an add-on.
Okay. Hey, Jim, we've got another caller. We've got Dan in Hawaii on line 1. Good morning, Dan.
Dan.
Good morning, Tim. Good morning, Professor.
Howdy.
Howdy.
Morning, sir.
Morning, sir. Professor, this is a little off topic, but I've been wanting to ask you this question for some time. Now, I live on the Big Island of Hawaii. Latitude is 19.5 north. If we were to have one of these pole shifts, do you think it would get warmer here or cooler?
Well, that's a all depends answer. If there's a pole shift, and by the way, if there's a pole shift, there's other things you have to worry about, because Hawaii is very susceptible to big tsunamis. The Captain Cook area. Are you familiar with the west side, Captain Cook, where that you go around the real curvy road there, and there's that big regions that are those are old slough areas where that land that used to be continuous there, and those have sloughed off into the ocean. Though I've talked to a geologist who specializes in mega tsunamis, and he's written books. You can find them. It's called Mega Tsunami. But anyway, what happened is that land would slough off, and then the water would come back, like a reverse wave that would come up as much as 1,000 feet up into those hills there.
Yes.
And if you go down by an area called South Point, you're probably familiar with that, where there's that big rift that goes down in where South Point is, to the west side of that sloughed off into the ocean. And what I'm saying is Hawaii is very susceptible to tsunamis. But
we call it historical landslides here. Yes, I'm familiar.
Yeah, but anyway, the old pole shift, the South China Sea did not move much, because if you understand how a pole shift works, it's kind of like the entire surface slides over the core, because there's a viscous layer there. So you have almost like an egg where the whole outer surface shifts. And this was big shift, about 35 degrees. So it really does a lot of damage, mountain building. The plate boundaries get jammed together and some separate, and so there's a lot of geological activity. But it's unless we knew what was going to cause it, what kind of, and this has to be done by an external agent, something passing by that's very big, the size of a planet. And then also the velocity has a lot to do with it. The faster it moves, the bigger the impulse. And so if we knew what direction, and I'm not saying anything is going to happen. I have no information that this would even happen in the future or in the near future. It has happened in the past. Then we could say, okay, well, probably this is where things would shift to. But without knowing that, it's up for grabs. It would be impossible to predict.
That's kind of what I thought as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But here's an interesting thing about tsunamis, is that if you simply go out in a boat offshore, then you probably don't even notice it. It's just the boat would rise up and rise down a little bit. It's when the tsunami reaches the shore that it rears up into this big wall of water and comes racing into the land. But if you're out in the ocean, not a problem.
I understand that, yes. All right. Thank you very much, Professor.
Sure. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you for your call, Dan. Greatly appreciated.
Thank you, sir. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Jim, getting back to what we were briefly speaking on earlier about the East Coast possibly being hit with a tsunami, like I said, I was reading an article about that last night, and they're, talking as much as 90-meter tall, when it gets up to the shore, 90-meter tall wall of water, coming in. That's 250, 300 feet. That is incredible to me.
Right. The question is how much momentum does that have? How far inland would that carry?
Exactly.
And we've seen like that tsunami that came from Jakarta, I believe it was, but it hit India, the Indian coast, a number of years ago. It went as much as a mile inland in places. And, of course, when that happens, it just washes everything away. There's nothing really that stays there. There are coastal cities in Peru that have undergone this kind of thing. They're ancient cities, and all that's left is there's really not much left at all. I mean, there's not even a potsherd, or very, very little is left. And so these tsunami with water coming in and washing out, it just takes everything with it. So it's very dangerous, and we know the Pennsylvania coal fields are very far inland. And so tsunamis in the past, what a tsunami does, how does a tsunami build a coal field? It comes in, it scoops up all of the vegetation, and it dumps it up against a hillside or in a ravine or in a valley, and then washes back out. So you have this tremendous amount of vegetation piled up, and that's where the coal fields come from. We actually saw this recently. That same tsunami that hit India hit Madagascar. That's the big island off the east coast of Africa, and literally created what will someday in the distant future be coal fields, created them with the tsunami. So we know that's what goes on. I've talked before about dirty coal and clean coal. The clean coal happens when there's no oil influx. The dirty coal happens when you have a major hydrocarbon influx from a comet that's coming by, and so the tsunami would be caused by a comet, a large comet, not just an average comet, but a big comet with a very big nucleus that would be able to cause that kind of tsunami, but also then with the influx of hydrocarbons, and that's where the dirty coal comes from. But the issue with the Canary Islands, of course, in terms of coal making, would be what we call clean coal. There's no influx of hydrocarbons from any place. but
right.
It's a very real possibility, and the fact that they're having earthquakes there is a very scary possibility.
Now, Jim, didn't we go through the same thing about 3 years ago where we had these swarms of earthquakes? Or am I mixing apples and oranges in my mind?
Are you talking about the Canary Islands?
Yes.
I don't personally remember that. I mean, there's a lot of things that I don't remember specifically. Earthquakes or volcanoes. There's so much activity that I'm not a real memory person for those kind of details, so I don't know. It may have happened, but I don't know. I can't confirm or deny.
I remember paying attention to it. Isn't it the volcano they're worried about? I don't remember the name of it. I think it's Herrera or something like that, isn't it?
I don't know. There again.
Okay.
I'd have to, maybe on the break we can take a look here and see.
All right. Well, what I was thinking is I really feel for the people in Florida. If there was not advance warning, a majority, or at least a significant minority of the people in Florida would be in big trouble, especially since the concentrations of people in Florida are along the coast. Of course, Orlando has a big population too. But, the way I watch this simulation, all sides of Florida would be hit with this tsunami. Not only does it hit the east coast of Florida, it wraps around through the Keys and comes up on the west side too. Is that your understanding of how it works?
Right. And I don't know, in the simulation, did they show it going across the peninsula of Florida or just inundating a certain distance?
Just I can't talk. Inundating a certain distance in, but I couldn't really tell how far it was actually showing. I don't know. I know how wide Florida is, and to me it looked like it showed it going like 10 miles in.
Wow.
Still,
yeah, that's the major population region there. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the same along the West Coast. The major populations of Florida are along the coastline, east, and not so much the West Coast. But in terms of the population, yeah, the inner towns and cities are pretty sparse. The real population is in buildings and everything are along the West Coast from, to Tampa Bay, and then the southern, what is it? Why am I not thinking of the name of the Fort Myers? Fort Myers.
Right,
Naples.
Fort Myers, all the way down, yeah.
Naples,
of course,
that's
it
all
showed
built
the
up.
Keys just being gone completely, washed over.
Yeah, and when you have moving water is one of the most powerful forces. A cubic meter of water weighs 1 ton. And if you have that moving, and of course it's a fluid, so it'll just get in and around whatever is there and wash it away. Tremendous amount of force.
Oh, you're not kidding.
So if you have something like a 90-meter wall of water coming in, forget it. It's just going to destroy everything in its path. And then when it washes out, it's going to take everything with it.
Right. And it would be, I've heard when I was younger, I'm talking high school younger, Jim. I would hear people say, well, I can swim. Well, so can everything else. Like all those logs, pieces of sheet metal being pushed through the water. It's not really something that's survivable if you're anywhere near where this comes in at. If you're in the, I guess you'd call it flood zone from this tsunami, if you're out in it, you're toast. Am I not correct?
Yeah, no, it's not survivable. That's the reality. But let's talk about evacuation.
Yes, sir.
In the Pacific Islands, along the Pacific, certain areas, they have sirens, and they're tsunami sirens, and they have what they call the tsunami zone or safe zone. It's an actual area that for the average tsunami, if you're above that, you'll be safe. people that are below that have to be conscious and have transportation so that they can quick get in it and go if the sirens go up. And so they actually have this, for example, in the Hawaiian Islands and other Pacific Islands have tsunami warnings. But in the United States, it's like, it can't happen here attitude.
Right.
But let's just imagine if you were going to plan and you had 6 hours to evacuate the East Coast. Well, you would have to start with the people farther inland first. And
Correct.
what we learned from the Florida disaster with Hurricane Irma was the idiot governor ordered the evacuation of the southern counties first. Well, he should have said, no,
Jim,
this is going to affect, yeah.
We've got our final break, buddy. Ladies
Oh,
and
okay.
gentlemen, we'll be back in 3 minutes. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is Tim Spencer sitting in for John Moore on the John Moore Show on Wednesday, the 11th day of October in the year of our Lord 2017. We're visiting with Professor James McCanney. Jim, this is our final segment. We got about 4 minutes. Would you like to take this opportunity to tell people how they can listen to your shows, sir?
Yeah, thanks, Tim. Every Thursday evening at 6 p.m. Central Time from WWCR Nashville, Tennessee, the James McCanney Science Hour at the Crossroads. That's my weekly commercial-free show. And then also the Paidcast, which people can join on my webpage. It's an extra $3.39, $3.95 per month. And you get an extra hour of deep dive into scientific topics. And so that's also on my webpage, jmccsci.com. The archives are also on my webpage from previous shows. And those are the two radio shows.
All right, and Jim, we're going to try to get a final caller in here. We got Glenn in Philadelphia on line 1. Good morning, Glenn. You got about 2 minutes, buddy.
Okay, good morning, Tim. Good morning, Jim. Just a quick hit and run here. Tim, I think the volcano you were trying to think of was called the El Hierro, Hiro volcano down in the Canaries near the island of La Palma. The island, I think, is in La Palma. There might be another island down there, but it's El Hierro, Hiro. Yep. I just wanted to let you know that. That's all. Thanks a lot.
All right. Thank you, Glenn. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Okay. Well,
take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. That answers that question, doesn't it, Jim? I could not remember the name of it to save my butt.
Well, the volcanoes and earthquakes are very closely related. So any activity like that, one could spur the other or vice versa. This is a very big concern. The issue that they're starting to have the swarms of volcanoes, and these are unprecedented. It's not; these are earthquake activity that they have not seen there before.
Yeah, this is interesting. It truly is, and globally, volcano activity is picking up. I don't, I might be wrong. Maybe I just didn't follow it years ago or something, Jim, but it seems to me like almost every place around the Ring of Fire's got a volcano or two kicking off. And I read a news alert last night that the volcano there by Mexico City was popping out a lot of ash and steam and everything. Seems like everywhere that's got volcanoes, they're getting active.
Well, the Earth is very active volcanically, and it's something that's been going on for a very long period of time. So it's hard to say if it's just natural cycles or something else going on. We don't have a lot of information about what's going on under the ground. That's one of the big problems with geology, it's very, we only measure things after they happen. But Earth is very active geological activity, and I guess we can expect that in the future. The only thing I worry about also is the volcano at Yellowstone. And I have said before,
Jim,
we have to drain that lake.
Jim,
we're out of time. Thanks, Tim.
Sure do appreciate it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, hope you'll join us tomorrow, same time, same channel. Have everybody have a fun and safe day, and as John says, God bless America. I say it too. Bye-bye, folks.